Hello, and welcome back to Mr. Anderson Plays Detective Jake Hunter. Oh my god, memories of the past. Man, I'm really out of it. But anyway, last time we got jumped by some punks and saw Xinksly in the hospital because he was jumped by the same punks too, and we found out that some kind of mob boss, Corso, set the people up to try to jump me, of all people, Jake Hunter. But now I believe we're going to be heading over to Mr. Corso's office to give some payback. Anyway, on with the show. Aspiccio City has a long, glorious history of organized crime. Mafia, Yakuza, triads. You find it all here. Once you start to peek behind the curtain, you realize that there isn't a pie in this city that they don't have their finger in. The Salvatore family has more fingers and more pies than most. Sometimes called the sixth family, the Salvatores are one of the oldest families in Aspiccio. Their old war Costa Nostra to the core, all polite talk and kisses on the hand until it's time to put a bullet in your head. That's not nice. Still, they walk the walk and little better than most. Killers might be, but drug dealers they were not.
Oh, killers they may be, drug killers they are not.
Which was what I had heard from the Torpedo twins had me worried, if the Salvatore family was moving dope. They are a gang after all. With those thoughts running through my head, I entered the office of the Salvatore family gang. This doesn't seem very smart. Huh? Who the hell are you? What the hell do you want? I'd like to see Mr. Drago. What? Drago! If he dies, he dies. What did you say? You got some nerve asking for Mr. Drago like that. Knock it off, Guido. Leave the man alone. But boss! Sure. It's been far too long, Mr. Hunter. I apologize for this gentleman's behavior. He's a good man, but sometimes perhaps enthusiastic. Is there something I can help you with? What did I want to do? Let's take a look at Mr. Drago's office. Drago was one of the youngest underbosses in the Salvatore family. We'd met before as mobsters went. You could do worse. Standing just a little too close to me was an oily man in a gold necklace that looked like it had seen its fair share of pawn shops. I gathered his name was Guido. That was pretty much all I wanted to know about him. I like how they just throw around that ethnic slur. It's fun. 5 or 6 wise guys lounged around the back of the room, keeping an eye on me. Well, they're not so, wise if they want to pick a fight with this dude. What did I want to do? Let's talk to Mr. Drago. What do I want to talk about? The drug. The stuff. If you haven't seen the movie The Stuff, you should. The Salvatore family isn't in the business of moving dope, is it, Drago? You know very well that it's not, Mr. Hunter. I'm not sure what I like you're insinuating. Perhaps you should clarify. Is that so? I'm sorry that those gentlemen assaulted you. Although they clearly got more than they bargained for. But I must ask, Mr. Hunter, why you seem to think this matter concerns me. I am of the understanding that such incidents are relatively common, regrettable as that may be. Men of honor. Yes, Mr. Hunter, I'm sure you see us as criminals, but this thing of ours, it is not without honor. My family treats with respect to all those who deserve it. Many of the organizations in this business are not so generous. Perhaps that is why the Salvatore family has lasted so long. Sorry, this comes natural to me, because this is sort of what my family's like, but he looks more like a Yakuza. He doesn't look very Italian. At another time, I might be intrigued by your interest, Mr. Hunter, but at the moment, the books are closed. Deal. A deal? If I fail to see what you might be able to offer the family, Mr. Hunter. That's really good. I'll take everything you got, man. The cops. The police. I'm not sure I understand what you're saying, Mr. Hunter. What the hell? Are you some kind of cop? Mr. Corso. Is there a man named Mr. Corso here? Yes, one of the gentlemen in my employ is known by that name. Is something the matter? Where's Mr. Corso? Well, I should imagine he's around here somewhere. He hangs out here with the rest of you fellas? When he's not otherwise engaged. Yeah. What I want to talk about? Do you wish to speak with Mr. Corso, Mr. Hunter? Yeah, I wish to speak with Mr. Corso. Let's inspect. Mr. Drago. Word on the street was that Drago was next in line as Don. We'd met a few times before. He wasn't a bad guy, but he was a man of honor first, and everything else second. As polite as the next guy, he wouldn't have hesitated to have you taken for a ride if you crossed him. Couldn't play games with a wise guy like Drago. I had to give it to him straight, and hoped he'd tell me what I want to hear. Office. Drago was one of the youngest underbosses in the Salvatore family. We'd met before. As mobsters went, you could do worse. Okay. How about Guido? I glanced over at the man wearing the hideous gold necklace. I figured he was one of Drago's younger subordinates. As I looked closer, I noticed that the man's chest had the word LEET written across it. That is a password that we need to write down, which I will do now. For one of the... Oh, no. Return. It looks like I can't. Adult literacy is such a sad thing to see. What the hell are you staring at? You want to die? Okay, so what do we... Yeah, I do wish to speak to Mr. Guido. Anything else? You are correct. Don DeSino has been very clear about our involvement in the drug trade. It is not a business that suits men of honor. Okay. Is that so? Okay. They told me they were hired by someone named Mr. Corso from the Salvatore family. Apparently Mr. Corso had offered them some dope if they shut me up. You son of a bitch. You got quite an imagination. These are some very serious accusations, Mr. Hunter. I hope that you are prepared to support them. The Salvatore family takes dishonesty very seriously. There's some very serious accusations. Okay. Yeah, you heard the boss. Show us some proof. Let's show him the dope, huh? Let's show him the dope. Give it. I handed the dope I found on the thugs to Drago. You do indeed have a drug in that piece of paper, Mr. Hunter. And a very pure one, at that. My knowledge of narcotics is limited at best, but my occupation has necessitated a certain level of familiarity. I can tell you this much. What you have here is not common street dope. This particular compound is common enough, but something as pure as your samples rarely seen outside of hospitals or government labs. Right. So you're saying this stuff isn't easy to get, am I right? If one of the families are putting this stuff on the street, they need to be pulling a lot of weight with the right people. I'm not sure I understand what you're insinuating, Mr. Hunter. You son of a bitch. You trying to start something? Calm down, Guido. I'm sure Mr. Hunter isn't trying to start a fight with you. Nonetheless, I have to ask, why are you here, Mr. Hunter? Surely you didn't come here just to have me identify that substance in your pocket. Mr. Drago, Mr. Corso. A deal. A deal. Okay. Relax, guys. I'm not saying that the cops asked me to take on this case. You cops, bitch, Hunter, damn you. Calm down, Guido. Mr. Hunter, you're not a foolish man. Why would you come into my place of business to tell me that you're working for the police? I hope that you're not attempting to make some sort of threat. The family does not respond well to threats. I'm here to make a deal. A deal? Okay. Just hear me out, Drago. You have not answered my question, Mr. Hunter. The case I'm on is a request from the cops, I'll tell you that much. But it doesn't have anything to do with the Salvatore family. I'm just following the nose, and it brought me here. If the family is involved with this somehow, we both know things are going to take a turn for the worse. I need your help, and if I get it, I might be able to keep the Salvatore family out of the spotlight when the shit hits the fan. That's my deal. Take it, or leave it. I assume that the help you referred to is determining if Mr. Corso did indeed hire the gentleman to waylay you. I can see why they put you in charge, Drago. Don't get me wrong, there's no doubt in my mind that your hands are clean. A couple of wet behind-the-ear kids, not really your style. Very well, Mr. Hunter. It would appear that you have made me an offer I cannot refuse. Glad to know you're on board, Drago. If your accusations are correct, I do not think the Don will be very forgiving of Mr. Corso. I do not know Mr. Corso's whereabouts, but I will have my men locate them. I hope that he will tell me the truth without any coercion. I dislike extracting information from the unwilling. Rest assured, Mr. Hunter, you will have your answer soon enough, one way or another. Thanks, Drago. I appreciate that. Okay, do we do anything else? The drug. Okay, I think we got everything. The Salvatore family will not turn a blind eye to drug trafficking in our territory. If you're correct, this man must be dealt with. Alright, I think we can leave here actually now. We set our pace, made our deal, and I think we're going to go to the hospital. I've done all I could do with Drago. I hoped he'd take care of Corso for me. But if that didn't pan out, well, I could cross that bridge when I came to it. I already knew where I needed to go next. It was a cool afternoon with the gray clouds racing across the sky and a stiff breeze running through the streets of streets of Hospicio. As I moved off in the direction of the hospital, I pulled out a cigarette. God knows I needed one. I'd come back to Eternus U Hospital. It was time for Professor Klein and I had to have that little chat. Okay. Let's look around. There are more people in the lobby than last time. It looked like I picked a bad time to visit. Okay. Reception desk. The receptionists were swamped. I had a feeling they were probably be too busy to talk to me. But without their help, I wasn't likely to get far. They're probably too busy to talk to me. Just as I was about to leave, a familiar face appeared out of the crowd. Your timing is incredible, Mr. Hunter. Sarah Travis. I met her on an earlier visit to the hospital. She knows Mary. I appreciate the flattery, but it looks pretty busy around here. Maybe I should come back another time. But Mr. Hunter, Professor Klein is in today. I've already told him about you. You should be able to go straight to his office. Really? That's great. You're a real peach. I'd finally gotten my chance to talk to Professor Klein. I wasn't going to waste it. Alright. Let's give her a thanks. Thanks. You've been a great help to my investigation, Sarah. If you ever need anything... Oh, don't worry about it. I just hope the killer is arrested soon. Besides, I did say I'd do anything I could to help you. I suppose you did. Hubba hubba. Alright, guess we have to talk about Professor Klein. Oh, Mr. Hunter, Professor Klein's office is... You know what? Let me just write it down for you. I received Professor Klein's office location from Sarah. Time to get back to work. Thanks again. Time for that chat with Professor Klein. About his underwear. Klein's office. I was finally going to get my chance to talk with Professor Klein. I had a whole head full of questions for him. It'd take me a while, but I had a hunch that talking to Professor Klein might just be what I needed to bust this case wide open. Admittedly, I hadn't seen a lot of the doctor's offices, but his seemed pretty snazzy, at least as far as those things go. Let's look at the exam room. Let's examine the exam room. I stepped into the exam room and took a look around. The other person there was a middle-aged man. Professor Klein. The doctor. His name tag read Klein. Bingo. And that was his name-o. Pardon me. My name is Jake Hunter. I'm a detective. I'd like to ask you a few questions about Mary. Oh, it's you. I heard about you. I'm Professor Klein. I used to be Mary Taylor's doctor. Her condition. You may be a detective, Mr. Hunter, but I'm afraid it would be a breach of privacy to discuss the details of Miss Taylor's condition with you. I too am shocked and saddened by this tragedy. But death does absolve me of my obligations to the privacy of my patients. I'm afraid that unless you have a court order, I cannot discuss the details of Mary's case. What about a police request? I see. So you are acting on the behest of the police. Then it would appear I have no choice but to cooperate with you. Go ahead. Ask me anything. Bear in mind that the story seem somewhat complicated to a normal person such as yourself. Okay. Her medical records. Huh? Of course I can show it to you. But a normal person like you won't be able to comprehend any of it. I picked up Mary's records and began to read through them. But he'd been right. It chafed my ass to admit it, but I couldn't make heads or tails of the medical gibberish. The professor gave me a told-you-so kind of look. Miss Taylor's condition was a rare one indeed. The details would seem rather complicated, okay, to someone like you, but she had been suffering from it for more than 10 years. I heard there was a procedure to correct Mary's condition. That's not a very good joke, Mr. Hunter. Don't you think I would know about such a procedure, if it did exist? But we were told that she said she did have one. That's weird. What about drugs? Drugs? What the heck are you babbling about? Mary Taylor's condition was a rare one indeed. Looks like you have no idea what any of that means. Okay. Looks like we have to ask him other ones. Mary Taylor was a strong, outgoing young woman. It is truly a tragedy to see a woman like her cut down in the prime of her life. I've had enough. Looks like he doesn't want to talk to me anymore, huh? Let's look at him. As soon as I mentioned the word drugs, Professor Klein's face began to stiffen. There was no doubt in my mind he was hiding something. Vicinity? The exam room appeared to be for Professor Klein's exclusive use. There were a couple pictures on the desk and the wall, but other than that, it was pretty sparse. The pictures. Oh, man. Oh, I gotta clear my throat. Sorry about that, guys. I noticed a framed picture placed on his desk. It was a picture of Professor Klein doing something. Volunteer work, maybe? Huh? I looked closer. Auspicio Central Park. Was Professor Klein one of the volunteers I'd seen in the park? If he was... Let's ask him about these pictures. 1 second. Sorry, I got some coughs going on here. The pictures. It was too big of a coincidence. I had to ask him about it. Professor Klein. What is it? Is this picture... Are you doing some kind of volunteer work? I wouldn't think a man with your responsibilities would have the time. Oh, that. It's a picture of an event that I sponsor. Well, I suppose you would call it volunteering. Did you say you sponsored it? Yes, that's correct. We supply the homeless people in Hospicio Park with food and the basic necessities of bingo, public enemy #1 right here. That's why the homeless wouldn't talk. Because they were too afraid. Because if they ratted on them, no one would give them food. You're quite a guy. You must be pretty popular with bums. I guess you could say that. Whenever I run into one of them on the street, they always thank me for the service I'm providing. I've achieved a certain amount of fame. Interesting. The bums in the park would consider the professor a pretty important person then. That's rather suspicious. The homeless outreach program was a little something that I started to safeguard my public image. It was well received. I mean, by the homeless people and the public. That's why I've continued working on it. Thanks to the homeless outreach program, I'm very well known now. I built quite a reputation off the homeless. Whoops, please keep this to yourself. If this gets out in the open, I would lose face. Why am I not surprised? Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to work. That was that. I'd been giving the brush off. I'd got more than I bargained for from Professor Klein. There wasn't any point to standing around his office. I headed for the lobby, itching for the cigarette. Wasn't going to find anything else at the hospital. I decided to see if I could find anything at the park when I suddenly felt like someone was watching me. As I spun around to try and spot my admirer, I felt something in my pocket start to shake. Mary Taylor's cell phone was vibrating. I flipped it open and read the message. It was an address. I didn't know what for, but it was somewhere in Hospicio. Someone was trying to tell me something. As I put the phone back in my pocket, I realized that I didn't feel like I was being watched anymore. If this was the same person who'd sent me the other message, the address had to be important. I pulled out a cigarette and headed off towards the address on the phone. I finally arrived at the address on the phone. All I could see were a number of nondescript buildings in what looked like a hospital. The sign hanging over its entrance said, Nicholson Clinic. I still wasn't sure why I'd been sent there, but I was starting to get an idea. I ground the remains of my cigarette on the sidewalk and stepped through the door. As I walked in, I noticed that the building looked a little old, and despite its size, seemed to have even more people than Eternus. Very weird. Let's give a talk to the receptionist. Hello, Miss Nurse Ratchet. What did I want to talk about? Mary Taylor. I'm sorry, but I don't have the authority to give out patients' information. Very strange. Let's give her a business card. Let's whip it out. I took out my business card. Now, will this help? Let's introduce ourselves. I took out my business card and mentioned that the police had sent me. You were hired by the police? Yes, ma'am. My name is Jake Hunter. I'm a detective. I'd like to ask you a few questions if that's all right with you. Mary Taylor. Miss Mary Taylor? Yes, she visited this clinic once in the past. Interesting. Is there a doctor who knows about Miss Taylor's condition who I can speak to? Yes, there is. The clinic has only one doctor, Dr. Nicholson, so he should be able to answer any questions about a patient. His office is down the hall. Bingo. Let's move. Thank you, nurse. I'm on my way. The receptionist showed me to the doctor's office. She briefly explained the situation to the doctor, then hurried back to her duties. Let's see. Let's talk to Mr. Nicholson. What did I want to talk about? Let's talk about me. It's nice to meet you. My name is Jake Hunter. I'm a detective. I came here to ask you a couple questions regarding a case I'm working on. Yes, Mr. Irium, Miss Irium, the receptionist told me about you. You're investigating Miss Taylor's case at the request of the police, am I correct? Yeah, Mary Taylor. Yes, Miss Taylor certainly did visit us a few days ago. Huh. It's such a delicate matter, but to be honest, it wasn't just about Mary Taylor's condition. She was the victim of medical malpractice. Ah, so was someone trying to quiet her? The plot was thickening. Malpractice? Why isn't there anything like female practice? I'm sure the feminists are going to get right on top of that. Miss Taylor was suffering from a heart condition, but it was one that could have been cured with a simple surgery. There was no explanation for the aggravated state of her condition, other than surgical malpractice. I wanted to be sure, so I examined every other possibility. But at this point, I'm almost certain that Miss Taylor was the victim of a botched surgery. I see. The surgery. Miss Taylor didn't tell me where she had undergone the operation. I thought this kind of gray matter should be exposed, but... Thanks. Oh no, don't mention it. Oh, that's right. I just remembered. Miss Cass at the reception counter told me that there was another person asking about Miss Taylor. Do you have a partner, perhaps? That's weird. Unfortunately, Miss Cass is not in today, so I don't know exactly what happened. I heard it was a woman. A woman, huh? Thanks for telling me that. Well, I guess we could be moving onward back to the only other place we can go to. Could the woman be the one that's sending me the messages? I left Nicholson Clinic, the wind whipping my cigarette smoke down the empty street. The pieces were finally starting to fall together. I needed to get back to the office and see what kind of picture they were turning into. Oh, welcome back, sir. Have you solved the case yet? Not yet, babe, but I think I'm almost there. I hope it can provide some closure for that poor girl's friends. Yeah. Very strange. What did I want to do? Talk to Yulia. What did I want to talk about? The case. I already know who the killer is. But if I want to squeeze a confession out of him, I better have my ducks in a row. Yes, sir. The organization of your ducks will be critical to your success. Quack. Perhaps you should organize your thoughts instead of filling your lungs with poisonous chemicals. Maybe you should mind your own goddamn business. Alright. Let's talk about me a little. Wrapping up the case seems to have put you in a good mood, sir. Yeah. Can't get cocky, though. I've got to play my hand carefully. I don't want to scare him off on the blind. If I make a mistake now, it could cost me the case. Still, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little excited. It's been a while since I've had a case like this. It must be refreshing to actually do some work from time to time, sir.
What does that mean?
Mysterious message. I still don't know who it was that sent me those messages, but I've got a few ideas about who it might be. Ben, are you going to find out who it is? No reason to doubt that. I'm not a cop, babe. I'm pretty sure that whoever sent me those messages did it out of guilt. I think they've had a rough enough time of it already. They don't need me hounding him and making it worse. Is it the other doctor? Yes, it's the other doctor, the female doctor. I forget her name now. Besides, it's just a guess. Okay. Let's make sure. What are we going to do now? The case. Let's talk about some other stuff. I already know who the killer is. Yes, ducks. Wrapping up the case, yep. Yep. From what you've told me, it sounds like Miss Taylor was quite a woman. It's a tragedy someone like her had to die. Yeah, she got the short end of the stick all of her life. It didn't slow her down, and now she's gone for good. That's the thing about murder cases. Doesn't really matter how well I do. The best I can manage is just revenge. What to do? The killer won't spill the beans on his own. He's gonna need a little bit of a push. I'm just waiting on the last thing, which is a phone call. Should be coming any time now. No sooner were the words out of my mouth than Vera started ringing. I knew who it was. The night was just about to start. I pressed Vera to my ear and heard Drago's calm, deep voice. Concerning the issue we discussed, the information was accurate. Mr. Corso confessed. Blinded by the promise of wealth, he purchased some of the substance you discovered from a doctor at Eternus University Hospital. He has brought shame to the Salvatore family and will be dealt with accordingly. Thanks, Drago. I apologize for my skepticism, Mr. Hunter. You must understand that I am reluctant to suspect my own men. About that, I have a favor to ask. Anything. You have protected the honor of the Salvatore. I'm in your debt. It's not a big deal, but the doctor who did business with Mr. Corso. Is he still alive? Yes, as far as I know. Then can you have Mr. Corso make a call for me? I can, and we'll have Mr. Corso do a great many things. What is it that you need? Nothing too complicated. I told Drago that what I needed Mr. Corso to tell the doctor. Is that all? That's it. You're a lifesaver, Drago. Certainly, Mr. Hunter. Would you be so kind as to come by the office sometime soon? I would like to offer you a formal apology, and perhaps some Glen Morangi. You sure know how to apologize to a man. I'll be sure to drop by, Drago. We said our goodbyes and hung up. I tugged the cigarette out of my pack and stuck it between my teeth. The gun was cocked. I just had to wait and see if the killer would pull the trigger. What did I want to do? Let's move to the park. No, we're putting this off. I'm going to the park. Hold all my calls. Next time I see you, there'll be one less killer on the streets. Good luck, sir. Try not to get shot. You're a peach, babe. I almost forgot. Can you try to get a hold of King and ask him to call me? Mr. Xinksly? Of course. Thanks, sweetheart. You're the best. I pulled on my jacket and stepped out into Hospitio night. The buzz of the downtown crowds drifted through the cool night air. Time to sink or swim. I arrived at Hospitio Central Park. The scene of Mary's murder was just down the path. But first I needed to wait for King. Yulia had come through again. I'd gotten in touch with King and he was going to meet me at the park. It was the time of night when Hospitio's criminal element was usually the most active. I was sure the police station was abuzz with activity. It had surprised me that Yulia had even managed to get a hold of King. I wonder if he would even make it. Just as I was starting to think that the old man was going to ditch me, I heard quiet footsteps behind me. I turned around to see King trotting toward me. His face flushed. Guess the old boy'd been in a hurry to get here. So far, everything was going according to plan. I must say, this is somewhat out of my way, my boy. We're terribly busy back at the station. Do tell me why you've brought me out here. I'm going to, arrest the killer. Why, we're here to arrest Mary Taylor's killer. What? How and where? We'll find him right down the path, because I told him to come here. That seems terribly easy, my boy. Are you sure? As sure as a man can be. Well, are you going to tell me who it is? No. Professor Klein. Yes. Professor Klein. It's Professor Klein. What? That makes no sense. That's just because you don't know all the facts yet. Trust me. Alright, then let's go get him. Wait a second, King. Is something wrong? I need you to do me a favor. Could you bring someone here for me? And who would that be? Who would they be bringing over? A witness. The witness. What? There's a witness? That's right. I watched King's eyes widen as I explained it to him. There was only one homeless man who was willing to say anything. So, we'll bring him on out. I see. I'll just go get him then. Yeah, I'm going to check the things out at the crime scene first.
Godspeed then. Be careful, Jake.
Hey, it's me. I watched King trot off into the darkness of the park. It was my turn. Let's move to the murder scene. I put out my cigarette and began walking toward the scene of Mary, Taylor's unfortunate demise. I didn't think getting the professor to confess would be easy, but I knew he'd break eventually. They always do. If King could get the witness in time, I'd have the trump card I needed to take the pot. This had gone on long enough.
Hey, where are you?
Hey, what is he thinking? Here of all places to meet. What is he up to? 1 second, let me clear my throat. Hey, show yourself. What did I want to do? Inspect Professor Klein. The professor stood stock still, his eyes searching the park for someone even from a distance. Even from a distance, I could see sweat beading on his forehead. I stuck to the tree line, keeping to the shadows. I was still watching the professor when I heard the twig snap behind me. I spun around in a panic and saw King approaching with my witness. Let me know when you're coming, King. I just about cast a kitten. What the fuck does that mean? Oh, did I scare you, Jake? I'm terribly sorry, my boy. Things went well on my end. Good to see. Let's go wrap this up. It was time for Professor to face the music. Let's do this. The professor didn't notice as I crept up behind him. Sorry, Professor, but I don't think your friend will be joining us tonight. Professor Klein spun around and gave me a withering glare. What? Wait, you're that detective from before. Why the hell are you here? Why am I here? That's pretty simple, although it may be difficult for a person of your intelligence to understand. I'm here to take you down. What did you say? What the hell are you talking about? I don't care who you are. I'll sue you for defamation of character. You're not being very cooperative, so I guess I'll get straight to the point. You killed Mary Taylor. What? That's ridiculous. Why the hell would I kill my own patient, you imbecile? How about because of a medical error? As I recall, you did some surgery on Mary a couple years ago, right? Yes, that's right. What of it? You messed up. Your mistake caused some pretty serious complication in Miss Taylor's condition. You chose to abuse your position of authority and didn't tell her. No. Who the hell told you that? Dr. Nicholson. The doctor who examined her testified to it. The doctor who examined her? Miss Travis? No, it wasn't Sarah. It was her new doctor, Dr. Nicholson at the Nicholson Clinic. But if you suspected her, then that means she knew about it as well. That hadn't occurred to me. And once she found out about it, Mary accused you of malpractice. You couldn't let that little tidbit get out, so you had to shut her up. Let's say that I admit it, but give it up, Professor. With what I know, the police will have enough evidence to put you away in a couple days. Gah! But how could a doctor like me murder someone? Do you even have any evidence in the first place? The paper said Mary Taylor was murdered right at this spot. Shouldn't there been some witnesses? Yes, a homeless man. One of the park's bums saw the whole thing. Then why didn't he come forward? Well, because they were scared. Why, my homeless friend didn't want to testify because he was worried that it would cause trouble for him and his friends. What do you mean? What could this possibly have to do with some bums? Hop. You fund the homeless outreach program in the park. So if you got arrested, the whole program would also have to be discontinued. That would have been pretty bad news for the park's homeless population. Their sense of community is stronger than you may think. He would have testified if he was the only one affected, but not if it was going to jeopardize the livelihood of his friends. What a load of crap. So what? I think you made all this up. If this man even exists, what makes you think he'll come forward now? Well, why don't you ask him yourself? Call out. Aldenburg. He told me everything, and he hadn't told me anything, but I managed to put two and two together. He'd seen something, and I was pretty sure I knew that. He's right here, my boy. Good old king. Mr. Aldenburg, can you come out here? As I spoke, Mr. Aldenburg stepped out from the shadow of the trees. I was going to keep it to myself because I didn't want to cause any trouble. But I just couldn't figure it out. Forget about it. Mr. Altenburg, can you tell us who murdered Mary Taylor that night? Mr. Klein, it was you. I saw you choking that poor girl. Are you positive? Of course I am. I see your face in my dreams every night. Can't stand it. Your face lit by the park lights, oh God. Drop the act, Professor. We've got you dead to rights. You've lost, Mr. Klein. Mr. Aldenburg would testify in court that he saw you and murdered Miss Taylor. And Mr. Hunter's investigation has also revealed that you may have been involved with the drug trade. I think it's about time you give up the ghost, eh? She was just a mistake to you, and you needed to erase that mistake. But Mary Taylor wasn't a mistake. Not to her friends, not to her boyfriend, not to her family. She was a bright flame in a dark world that you snuffed out. And for what? Your reputation? Your ego? You don't understand. You're damn right I don't understand. I don't understand how someone who's sworn an oath to do no harm, sees no harm in murder. You killed a person. Now you're going to pay for it. Yes, I did it. Jake Hunter looks beefy as fuck. He's got a weird shape to his body though, and his hair looks really long. And that was how the case came to a close. But all it did was bring everything to an end. Fucking Bill Clinton playing that saxophone. Solving the case wouldn't bring Mary back. No one is ever truly happy at the end of a case. There is always a feeling of emptiness that stays with them. That is murder's harsh truth. They should hire me to be a voice actor. Nah, I'm not that good. It looks like Mr. Klein's drug business might have had something to do with this. Miss Taylor's death, after all. I read that wrong. As she started to move more and more of that stuff, he began cutting back on anesthetics during surgery. That was how he kept the books balanced and hid his black market dealings from the hospital. So a lack of anesthetic screwed up Mary's surgery. It's not like Professor Klein was always bad. Yeah, I heard that too. When he needed the money to get tenure, Mr. Corso approached him with an attractive offer. A single choice, made in a moment of weakness, can change a person's life forever. Rather humbling, wouldn't you say? Money can be a powerful force. There aren't many men who can resist the temptation of wealth. Maybe, but I think you probably could. Oops, isn't it around here? Yeah, here we are. Looks like we're not the only people mourning her death. Yeah. Just as I was about to lay my flowers on the grave, Mary's cell phone started to ring. That's the victim's cell phone, isn't it? I didn't think you still had it. Sam said she didn't need it anymore now that the case is closed, so I've just been picking it up and making prank calls. Though I've just been receiving the calls. What would that be called if someone called you and we pranked them? Would it just be a prank? I thought maybe I'd put it to rest here. No, That wasn't King. I flipped open the phone. Another message from a mysterious informant. What's the matter, my boy? It's nothing. It seemed like it had been months ago when the first message appeared on Mary's phone. But why is someone calling Miss Taylor? Everyone she knew should have been informed. That's true. I guess it's a real mystery then. Unless it's Miss Taylor herself, from beyond the grave. Oh, do knock it off, Jake. I hate those kinds of stories. For a policeman, you're pretty spooked, King. I opened what I could only assume would be the final message from my mysterious friend. It was only 2 words. Thank you? Thank you. I guessed it. Well, it's always nice to get to know you're appreciated, even if it's only by a dead girl. That's an awful joke, Jake. Where are you going, my boy? I thought maybe I'd stop by to thank her, too. Eh? EU Hospital. I pulled out a cigarette and headed toward Eternis U Hospital. There was someone I needed to talk to. Oh, Mr. Hunter. What brings you here? I thought that the case had been solved. Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for your help. Huh? If it wasn't for you, I'd never figured it out. Thank you. A badass. The petty murder of a fragile heart. The end. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the first mystery. It's pretty chill and pretty relaxing. No frills here, but that's what I like about Jake Hunter. It turns out that the doctor was behind it. He'd gotten into some trouble with the drug trade, decided that he was going to sell some of it to fatten his bank account a little bit for retirement, and it ended up biting him in the ass. But let me know what you guys think. We will be moving on to the second mystery, which you'll be seeing soon, but I'm releasing these sort of in batches, so I'm just playing the entirety of the chapters, and then releasing them. So I'm like, a couple days ahead. The stories seem to be about 4 hours long, so about 4 episodes per. I don't know if that's the case for everything, but the next episode will be Case 2, Seaside City Conspiracy. It's got a ring to it. I hope you guys are enjoying. Please let me know by leaving a like, a comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe, because it makes me feel good. And make sure you have a good night. Good night.